On this week's episode, I talk with Sandra Carapinha, owner and founder of Learn European Portuguese Online. We talk about, amongst other things, the beauty and the complexity of the Portuguese language. Welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. I'm really happy to be joined all the way from California in America by Sandra Carapinha. Sandra, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. My pleasure.
You're very welcome. You are the person, the furthest person away that we've interviewed for the podcast. So that's really exciting. It's 9 o'clock or 9 something in the morning there.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you're not too tired and you're ready for this conversation.
Yes, definitely.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I was born in the United States and I moved to Portugal with my parents at age 9. And at the time, you're right, my parents decided to open a little tasca, a little cafe that had a lot of petiscos, as we say in Portuguese. So I grew up with my mom cooking a lot of small dishes from caracóis, the traditional snails, to a lot of seafood, ameijoas, caranguejos. So those would be clams and crabs. So it was a very small place, but always packed with customers. So it was definitely really a fun transition for someone moving from the States and all of a sudden being in a small tasca exposed to so many Portuguese and growing in that environment. It was really fun.
Was it a big change from you? You obviously had some idea of what it would be like because of your parents and things like that. But coming over as a young girl, how was that transition?
It was a challenge. For example, with the language, mm-hmm. I did speak Portuguese. I did attend Portuguese school here in the U.S. once a week, but I was no way fluent in Portuguese or anything. So I had that transition, and culturally it was very different as well because at the time, we're just speaking about 1986. Things in Portugal, they barely had Coke. They didn't have, Coca-Cola, or anything like that. So it was really a big transition for a child. But I made great friends and learned how to, I really like the name of your podcast, Simple, the idea of simplicity, because that's what I found when I moved. I started valuing simple things. So that's something that I found when I moved to Portugal.
Okay, and tell us, I love talking to Portuguese people about their terra. Tell us about your village, your terra.
Okay, so I grew up in Caldas da Rainha. It's about 80 kilometers north of Lisbon, very close to Óbidos. So it's a great town. I always recommend all my friends to go and visit. It's very charming, very well located if you want to travel around in Portugal. It has a very nice quality of life, a beautiful market, farmer's market, my favorite in the world. It has great fish. It has a beautiful beach, Foz do Arelho, very close. And it's very, unfortunately, it seems like it opened recently, but it was very famous for its spa. That's actually how the city was born because of the queen. And the pottery, very well known for Bordal Pinheiro. So it's just a city that has this lot of charm and has a lot of arts too, which is something that I love. A lot of museums for a small city, has a lot of museums, has an art school. So I really like that as well.
Yeah, so it's famous for a couple of things. Like you mentioned, the lady who discovered the queen who discovered the hot springs. It's pottery. What else is Caldas famous for, in your opinion?
Well, definitely for some interesting pottery, as you mentioned. So I suggest people go and visit and you'll find out what kind of pottery. But all kinds of pottery, actually, not only that fun one, but you can find, I mean, Rafael Budal Pinheiro style is, you know, well known around the world now.
Yeah.
Even here in the US, people have those big cabbages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's beautiful. It's well known for its park. Caldas da Rainha has my favorite park in the world. I love that park. My kids, when we come and visit still today, enjoy that park. It's just so beautiful.
We were actually walking there on the weekend, and so walked through the park. It is beautiful. And one of the other things, you know, I don't know if you, they've got all those ceramic statues around the town now. And all of them they've managed, my wife and I only realized when we walked past one the other day that they've opened up they obviously opened up the casings and they've put little masks on each of the ceramic statues in celebration of this corona pandemic that we're going through.
That's hilarious. Well, that was a good idea.
We thought it was quite a good touch,
yeah.
Yes. What do you miss most about Caldas, about
Caldas? I miss, you know, my friends. I miss the food. I miss the small streets, the market. I mean, I used to go to that market as a child when my parents had the tashka, as we were talking about. My mom would go every day to the market, and I would go with her and buy fresh vegetables. So that concept of buying fresh food every day definitely was something that I grew up with. So going on the street and knowing everybody, you know, my parents were very well known in the city, so I felt like everybody knew me. So that idea of family, it felt like family to me.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's unique. And that market is amazing. It's still one of the best in the country. I think as far as I know, it's one of the only ones that's open every single day of the week.
Exactly.
It's at the moment it's inside the expo center. It's not on the plaza.
I know. I read. I've seen some images.
What you're in America. We're going to get to what you do in terms of teaching Portuguese. But what makes you proud to be Portuguese?
Oh, I'm very proud of being Portuguese. Of the way of being of the Portuguese. I feel like Portuguese people, and I hear this every day from my students, are very nice, very kind, naturally generous people that always like to help out others, and so very accommodating. You know, if you ask a Portuguese person for directions, they'll take you to that place if necessary. You know, they always go that extra step, extra mile to help you. And I feel like that's what really people love about Portuguese people, and I recognize that. And especially when you move abroad, now that I'm not in Portugal, is really when you realize the qualities of your people. It's not when you're in Portugal, it's when you move abroad and you see things a little differently.
So I heard via the grapevine that there is a video out there somewhere that you published where you're opening up a box, a package arrived at your home, and you're opening up a box of Portuguese products, and the kids are going crazy for the bolachas de Maria and the sardines and the olive oil. Can you confirm this video?
Yes, that's so funny that you saw that. Yeah. So that was recently, now it was already with the coronavirus. When it started, I don't know if I was getting homesick, but I decided to contact. Here in Santa Monica, we don't have any Portuguese markets. We have no Portuguese community here. So we're kind of lonely in that sense. So I found out on Facebook that there was this little market in Northern California in San Jose. And so I called he made a little Facebook Live showing his store, and I could see Portuguese products in the background. So I decided, I'm going to call them and I'm going to ask if they can ship to California. So I called him, and he was so nice. I mean, he was almost an hour on the phone telling me each product he had. And I was like, okay, I'll take the tuna, I'll take the chorizo, I'll take the bacalhau. So we had 2 big boxes arrive, and they actually arrived at different days. So I only did the unboxing of the second box, but it was really well packed. So everything was like hidden in bags. So I asked my son, it's like, oh, let's make a video as we open. And it was so cute. My son, it was my youngest son, he's 10. And he was opening and he was like, oh, tremoços, oh, you know, it's really, even with the olive oil, my kids love olive oil just with bread. So they were really excited.
Are you rationing everything? I hope you haven't gone through all the stuff yet.
I think I'm ready for my second order.
Okay, well, that man will be happy. The owner of the store will be happy at least.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about sort of your journey back to the States and how you started doing what you're doing now with the online lessons.
Okay, so it was in 2011. 2011 was a very hard year for me personally. My mom passed away suddenly. My sister wasn't doing so well, and the economy in Portugal was very bad. And me and my husband, we always had talked about living abroad. So it just came up as a natural thing. I just think it was destiny. You know, I just felt that I needed a change in my life. I needed to experience something. I was still 33 or 34, so I was still pretty young. Mm. And my kids were at an age that it was perfect for the move because I had a 5-year-old and I had a 1-year-old. So I talked to my husband and we just decided, you know, it's either now or never, because once kids get into school, it's so much harder to make that decision. So, and my sister lived in California, so that was really helpful. We lived with her for 10 months almost. We came with nothing. We got our green card. So I have my American passport. My husband and my kids got their green cards, and we lived with my sister for a while. We came with no job, nothing, a pure adventure. So it was hard. It has its ups and downs. We took a big risk, right? We had comfortable jobs in Portugal. Both me and my husband worked in advertising and marketing. But we just wanted to take that risk, and I think it was totally worth it.
And you now do online Portuguese lessons for foreigners?
Yes, I do.
So
that's what's so interesting, right? Because my background is not in teaching at all. Even though when I was in high school, I wanted to be, at the time when people ask, oh, what do you want to do? I wanted to be an English teacher, which is kind of funny. So now I'm teaching Portuguese in the United States. So it just shows how ironic life can be. So yeah, when I moved here, I knew I wanted to do something different. I really didn't want to work in advertising anymore. And it was tough because I couldn't find a job. First of all, you're coming to a new country. You don't have a resume here, right? And I didn't want to do anything that was connected to my experience. So it was even harder. And then I had a baby. So I did end up staying home a few years because, you know, having help for kids here is so expensive. It's almost not worth working. The amount of money I would pay for someone to take care of my son would be the money I would be making. So I just decided to stay home and help my kids with a transition to a new country. So on the side, I started teaching Portuguese. I registered on this website of online tutoring here in the US. And, you know, and I got some students. I got a soccer player. He was my first student, English soccer. He was actually English soccer player that was playing here for an American team, and he had a Portuguese girlfriend. He was my first student, and then so I started teaching mostly in person, and then a couple of years later, I started really teaching online, and that's really when I grew my business, and I decided to start my own brand and my own project. So that's really when things started growing, because it's really hard to tutor in person, even though LA is a huge city. European Portuguese is a niche. So it's not a lot, there are plenty more people that want to learn Brazilian Portuguese than European. So the online gives you that benefit of having students from all over the world, all over the country here in the US as well.
Yeah, and why do you think there are? I mean, are the majority of your clients are they from the US?
Most of them are, yes. I've had a few English. I had a student in Goa, India as well.
Okay.
But most of my students are American, yes. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, of course, I would teach anybody. All students are welcome. But I do think the Americans feel a specific connection with me because I live here. I can really talk about cultural differences. So, you know, I think it has that benefit. I help a lot of my students. I really try to go an extra mile and give them connections if they need when they go to Portugal, if they, you know, need help for certain things. So I think that's one of the reasons.
And what are the main reasons why people from America are wanting to learn the language?
Well, it's interesting. I have 2 to 3 different groups of students. I have the students that are moving to Portugal, that are retiring, or even younger ones. They just want to move to Portugal, get their, you know, they're in the process of getting their visa, and they want to prepare their move. And that's really what I think. It's what I recommend is you should start learning Portuguese before you move to Portugal, because otherwise it can be stressful. It's a long process learning a language. And if you already have some, you know, knowledge of the language, it makes your move much easier. So that I have those students, some that have connections to Portugal, you know, others no. I have students that have no connection to Portugal. Then I have a second group of students, which are the students that have a Portuguese heritage. They live here in the US, but their parents never taught them Portuguese for one reason or the other, or they don't feel like they speak Portuguese well enough, so they want to improve it. So I do have that group. And the third group is a very interesting group, is that a smaller, but I do have a few students that love Portuguese, love Portugal, love the language, and they want to learn the language just because of that.
Amazing, but not go anywhere just because of the cultural aspect of it.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's fascinating.
When I came over to Portugal more than 10 years ago, I couldn't speak a word. I knew how to ask for a beer, basically was it, and I knew how to say good morning and good afternoon, and I had to learn from scratch. My wife will tell you I'm still learning, and she's right. But there were so many things that were lost in translation in terms of you think you know what a word means, there were some funny stories along the way. But what do you love so much about the language?
Well, you know, a language is part of your identity, right? It's part of who you are. And I feel like when people learn a language, I actually just developed recently 3 ads trying to promote people to learn Portuguese. Okay. And one of the things that I wrote in one of my ads was it's a bridge to other cultures, right? It's when you learn a language, it's more than just words. It's a bridge to other cultures. It's having a different perspective of life. And so it just makes you so much richer. The more languages you have, you know, you just you see things differently, and it's just a great thing. And being able to share my language, actually I'm bilingual, so to share both, you know, I love English as well, but to share Portuguese with people, it's just, I feel like I'm doing, you know, I'm sharing my culture. It's more, and my pride in my culture. And so it's really fascinating. It's so fascinating to see a student go from not knowing a word to speaking a whole dialogue with you. You know, it makes my day, literally.
I mean, I can remember arriving here and it's not a place, Portugal's not a country where you are going to be lost if you can't speak the language. It's not a place where people are rude to you. That will always stand out in my memory for me. But it is a place you enjoy it so much more when you can speak the language and can understand certain things. And there are those phrases that are uniquely Portuguese that don't exist. There's no literal translation for them. Can you share some of those with us?
Sure, like idioms. There's an idiom that I find very interesting. I actually did a post on it. It's in Portuguese, it's peixe não puxa carroça, for example.
Okay, say it slowly. Peixe?
Okay. Peixe não puxa carroça.
Okay.
So I don't know if you understood what I said, but so the idea is a fish. So interesting, we have a lot of idioms with fish, with different types.
That's not surprising at all.
That's not surprising, right? And so that one means fish doesn't pull, this is literal, doesn't pull or don't pull wagons. So the idea is if you have fish for lunch, you're not going to have a lot of energy in the afternoon because fish does not give you a lot of energy.
Is that what it means?
Yes. So if you eat fish and you're hungry and you say, I'm already hungry, people might tell you, peixe não puxa carroça, if they know that you ate fish, for example.
Okay. One of the ones that I know is feito ao bife.
Feito ao bife.
Okay. So what is that? What does that mean? Explain.
So feito ao bife is more like you're screwed in that idea that you're in trouble. Feito ao bife, so you could even say that to let's say if your kids are doing something, you're going to get in trouble. Feito ao bife, so something's bad's going to happen. Yeah, which beef is steak in Portuguese.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're done down to the meat. Is the
yes, exactly
idea.
Yeah.
There's some, and the most beautiful one, obviously, saudade. It's just one of those words.
It is. I love it. Yeah. So that is beautiful.
So we had a blog about it, but give me your version or what saudade is for you.
Yeah. So that is that word that every Portuguese could talk hours about it, right? So that is really this feeling of missing something, So as a Portuguese teacher, what I can say that's very interesting about the word saudade is a noun in Portuguese. We don't have the verb to miss, okay? The verb to miss is to have saudade. So it emphasizes even more the noun when you have to say it that way, right? So we can miss so many things. When we say ter saudade de Portugal, it emphasizes so much that feeling of the family, the experiences, the simple pleasures. And I was talking to a student yesterday. It was very interesting. She's in Portugal, and she was telling me, Sandra, how do you feel with the coronavirus and everything that's going on? And I was like, I feel a little claustrophobic right now because I can't go to Portugal. The idea that the borders are close to me make me feel even more so that right now, because I never had that feeling. I mean, if I'm a Portuguese citizen, I could probably still go, but, I know it would be hard to come out. So the idea of it's not accessible to me right now makes me even have that nostalgia even deeper. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing for me, that word saudade, because there is no literal translation. It's basically a deep longing for something that you had or haven't got, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful word.
It is, yes, definitely.
So what about fake friends is the term that I think you used, or false friends?
False friends.
So false friends are words that are the same in Portuguese as in English, but they mean completely different things, right?
Right.
Okay,
right.
so give me an example.
You look and you think, I know what this is. It's so easy. And then they're tricking you. So one of my favorite ones is the word pasta, for example. A lot of my students, when they're having lessons with me, that's pasta, they're noodles. And I'm like, no, they're no type of noodles. So actually, pasta in Portuguese can mean three things. Mm-hmm. It can mean a briefcase. It can mean a folder. So if you have a folder in your computer, those are all pastas. And it's also our word for any kind of paste. So toothpaste, tomato paste, people just call it pasta de tomate. Or for toothpaste, we sometimes just say pasta.
In construction, we have that pasta as well that you put on the walls to plug in holes and things like that.
Also, yes. I wasn't even getting in all those details. But so definitely not any type of noodle, because that is massa in Portuguese.
Yeah. Any others that people should know?
There's another one that's very interesting, is the word actually.
Okay.
Actually is a big false friend, because it's not atualmente. Okay, because usually adverbs that end in ly in English, in Portuguese end in mente. So you can easily, normally is normalmente, so you can easily do that transition. But with actually, it's not the same thing. So atualmente for us is nowadays.
Ah, okay. I see. Now that's something that I get wrong all the time. No wonder I get so confused with
If you want to say actually, you can say na verdade, na realidade.
What about literalmente?
Literalmente.
That's literally the same. Okay, so that part at least that I've got right.
Yes.
I mean, what do you enjoy most about teaching Portuguese to? Hold on, there is a rumor going around that you taught Portuguese to some celebrity figures. Is this?
Yes, I have. I don't want to mention their names, but I have. I've taught the husband of a very famous Portuguese celebrity. Yes.
That's killing me. Okay, I'm not going to ask who it is. Alrighty. So what do you enjoy most about teaching your language to people that are wanting to learn it, to foreigners?
Well, I just love the whole process. Learning a language, the great thing about learning a language is that it's a long process. So I get to really build a close connection with my students. I have students for years sometimes. So, and I start from them learning the first sounds to speaking fluently. So that is just, as I said, just makes my day. I love to share my culture. I love to give them tips about Portugal. So one of the beauties of teaching online, I really enjoy teaching online, is that I get to, with the distance of a click, I get to show anything from Portugal to my students. So that's amazing. So if I'm talking about food and I'm saying, oh, do you know what a pastel de nata is? No, never seen one. I go on Google, I show it, they know what a pastel de nata is. Or if I'm talking about a city with a monument, it's like, oh, do you know the Mosteiro dos Jerónimos? Here it is. So I've helped students sometimes in lessons even build, help them build a plan, what cities to visit on their trip and things like that. We work on that together. So because I have a very creative background, again, I don't have a degree in teaching. So I'm very creative I think that's one of the good things about my teaching. I'm very creative. So I tailor the lessons for each student. And if students really like to talk about Portugal, why not spend a whole lesson looking through cities, seeing what you can visit while you're talking Portuguese. I really like to do fun things like that.
Wonderful. What food would you always recommend to one of your students if they were visiting Portugal?
Well, that's a good question. Definitely fish, right? The bacalhau or the seafood. The problem with Americans, I don't know if it's only Americans in general. Americans are used to having fish without bones. That's a big issue.
Okay.
So when they say, oh, but is it a whole fish? I'm like, yes. They're like, oh, I don't want it. No. So then you can recommend maybe more uma espetada, like a kebab, right? They'll still eat the fish, but without the bone. So I read a lot of menus with my students. So that's a fun thing I do I have some, menus from restaurants and we go through them. So I really prepare them. Once they go to a restaurant, they already know what queijo is and pão and all the different meats. So that's something we do a lot as well.
Fantastic. For our listeners, Sandra, how can they find you online? How can they get in touch with you?
So, so I have my website. It's called learneuropeanportugueseonline.com. And on the website, you can find all the links to my social media. I have a Facebook page where I develop content. So again, I'm not only a Portuguese teacher, I also develop Portuguese content, because that was one of the things when I moved to the US. I could not find any European Portuguese content, no books, nothing, all Brazilian Portuguese. So that's why I started my project. So on Facebook, I develop a lot of images to teach grammar, to teach verbs, vocabulary. And then I have my YouTube channel where I really develop fun animations, or you can have, listen to videos with me giving tips on how to learn Portuguese. And then I also have a Patreon page where you can become my patron and support my project and have access to exclusive content. So all of those, yeah.
Fantastic. We'll put some links in the show notes below, and people can just follow you and find you and get in touch.
Awesome.
So let's keep it simple, because it's the simple life, and you're a teacher. So 3 things that people can take away from this conversation.
Okay, well, starting with the language, don't feel intimidated about learning Portuguese. It is a hard language, but it's totally worth it. It'll make a big difference if you prepare your move already knowing some Portuguese. So that is definitely one of the things I would like to recommend. Other things is definitely visit Caldas da Rainha. It's a great city. It's my hometown. Walk around, go to that park. If you have kids, definitely go on the boats. It's very family oriented. And the third one, embrace the unknown. That's what I usually tell people. Either if you want to live abroad and experience that for your family, don't be afraid. You can always go back. That's what I told my husband when we moved here. It's like, we can go, but we'll always have a home to go back. So don't, and now with all the coronavirus, I think people are putting a lot of their lives in perspective. Embrace the unknown. Either that's learning a new language, get out of your comfort zone, because that will make you a better person at the end of the day.
Wonderful. I do actually have another question that I want to ask you before we end off. But, obviously with Corona and everything, there's been a bit of attention on Portugal because of how well they've handled it. What is the perception there of how we're doing over here? In terms
well, the perspective is great, definitely. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not, other than with my students, I'm not interacting with a lot of people right now. But the perspective is great, and I try to watch the Portuguese news every day, and I'm very proud of everything Portugal is doing. So keep up with the good work. I'm very excited, and hopefully, slowly they'll be able to recover with the economy and have tourists. I know how important that is for Portugal.
Yeah.
And I'm, as I said, I want to come visit soon. So I'm getting very homesick. So
I can imagine.
Stay safe.
I can only imagine. Sandra, thank you so much. A question that we like to ask all of our guests: Portugal, the simple life. Why?
Why? That is a great question. Portuguese people in general really know how to live a simple life, and all those simple pleasures, from just going out for dinner, being with family and friends, and being generous to each other, and helping your neighbors. And I just feel it's a really great way to describe the Portuguese people. And again, as I said, all my students, either from Portuguese descent or all full Americans, or they really love that about Portugal. That's something that the Portuguese people are well known for. So I think we should all be proud of our simple life and value it above all.
Wonderful. Sandra, thank you so much. I've loved this conversation, and I wish you all the luck in the world with your online lessons, and hope you can get back to Portugal soon with your little family.
It was a
And
pleasure.
thank you. And I'm going to let you call it.
Okay, that's a wrap.
So thank you once again to Sandra, and thank you to all of you. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. Next week, it's all about history. I'm joined by Sergio Figueira, historian and author. We discuss, amongst other things, the history of the Portuguese monarchy. And as we say in Portugal, um abraço. Até próxima. Welcome to the simple life.